Welcome everyone to the club rooms, where we are here to break down everything that happened in Vegas and the moniker, the line, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I think we can really live up to that and leave what was the massacre in many ways in Vegas, leave that there and come home safely back to Aotearoa. But welcoming everyone to the club rooms where we have our members show for all of our members in the Q&A that they can comment and we can highlight their questions and their discussion points and we can really hone in and talk football, especially Warriors at the moment. But guys, quickly give us a like and subscribe. And if you do want to join, it is $2.99 for our reserve grade members and $5.99 for our first grade members. For the $2.99, you can jump in the chat, respond. You'll get recognized in our chat as a reserve grade member. If you want to be a first grade member for $5.99, you join in on our WhatsApp chat where we give more analysis, more in-depth talk. You get to join amongst the people. Heaps of perks and more to come as we continue to expand here. But let me just quickly get into the chat. Welcome in, everyone. Peace, love, and happiness. Keep your head up. Stay positive, guys, for sure. Absolutely. And next year's our year. I feel your Warriors fever. I hope you've traveled safe or you're on your way back or enjoyed your time over there. Look, it is quite tough, isn't it? I wouldn't go that far yet, but a lot of season to go. In fact, kia ora, Tans. Great to see you, and hope you're doing well. One of our first grade members is Tans. Team Meki, I've calmed down. Kia ora, everyone. Thank you, Tans. Yeah, I'm going with a bit of the old peaky blinders. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of golf, but nah, I just got this hat at the op shop. Yeah, no, don't mind it actually. So thank you very much, Tans. Lexi, my man, hope you're doing well. I know you were pumped for yesterday. Saw you in the chat. Hope you're doing well and having a good day. And Dominic, another week, another time to keep the faith. Yes, and the boys definitely do test us. Tahi, as always, the man with the super coach. If you guys need to learn more about super coach, go to Ash and Brody, but also Tahi's very big on a super coach. And welcome in Will's T. Welcome to becoming a new member, bro. We're happy to have you with us. Appreciate it, man. So yeah, welcome in everyone and everyone that is watching. We do appreciate you guys. Look, guys, I am going to start off a little bit, on the negative side of and explain why, but we'll obviously lead towards some positives. Hey, this is a chance for all you members to air out your grievances. And I'm here to do that as well. But I'm going to explain those things why, and then we can look at some positives for sure. And that not everything is over, and over. It's not over yet. But I just want to start with this point. I got this bad feeling when I was watching the game and then towards the end of the game that I was back in the year 2024 again. And I know that the performance wasn't great. I know that we were we were really poor as a team, all over the park defensively, all those things. But I just couldn't help but feel that we just haven't progressed. Now I know that's me being in the moment, and I'm only sharing the raw emotion. But at that time yesterday, I was like, "What have we done in the off season? What truly was preseason all about? Why do I personally always get a little bit hyped in the preseason when we have these strong outings against the Melbourne Storm C or the Sharks B, and then we put up a performance like that against right, I've got to commend the Raiders. I thought they were awesome, but I just got this really feeling at the end of it like, man, we haven't progressed. We haven't moved forward. We are stuck in this cycle, and I know that is harsh, and I know that it felt like it was a reality that, oh no, this year is going to be bad based on what I saw on the field. Those things can change, obviously, but I did get that feeling. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to say it wasn't there. Um, and yeah, I'm just hoping and looking for things that can prove to me that things will change. And I think there is potential there. It just needs to be unlocked, and we'll go through that. What that means to unlock that potential. Um, but let's get to some little comments in between here. Facts, hey, um, probably the first time I put it on the coach's interchange strategy was bad. We are going to break that down for sure. Um, you're right, Levon. There was a lot not said on the thanks, Tay. Yep. I hope we don't want to feel that way, but we have to acknowledge it. And I appreciate everyone else was feeling that a little bit. Lexi saying I was anticipating the comeback till there was 10 left on the clock. Then I knew it wasn't coming, so I just started crying, drowning my sorrows. Look, we as Warriors fans are always wanting a comeback. We know that it's just inbuilt in us, but I just felt like even the score at halftime, I felt like, oh, we really got to fight back to get into this game to get on top. But uh anyway, yes, please hit those likes, Jazz. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, it felt like a little bit of a bad omen, and yeah, and I don't want to do that for too long, but you could definitely feel it. Um, Watching, couldn't see which Warriors would make it into the Canberra's team. Man for man, we weren't up to it. Wow, that's a big comment, Dominic. Um, and key here from Tans, there's just no mana. It's very important to have that. Just for me, when I broke it down, it was come back to attitude. I just didn't see any fight. I saw guys out there that were just there, but they were just bodies. They weren't doing anything. When I looked at the Canberra team, you had Horsburgh like wanting to offload, wanting to be aggressive. You had Starling who was just flying out of the line, tackling anyone in front of him. You had Savage who was hungry for intercepts, for anything. Tamale coming on. And then I looked at our team and just so passive. It felt so like we were just there to make up the numbers. We were there just to get through the game. And it looked like that on our attack, and our attacking shape had no intent. We were just going through steps of an attacking system. Defensively, we couldn't wrap up. We needed, we were just holding on. And I've talked about that previously. Holding on. That's not a technique. To hold on. You have to tackle and be intense. So those are some of the things. I agree. I wanted to see that energy. I personally think some did. I look back at JFH. He was within his skill set, and I know people will say, he's no AFB. He never was, and it's a different skill set that he brings. But I think he did a pretty good job defending, trying to hold that his effort areas, trying to do his 1%. You can tell he's a solid professional, but some of the players around him weren't doing their job, in my opinion. So, yeah. And obviously, you don't panic, change the side. But if you're okay, well, new quarter forward, CNK, you're under the microscope. They should be. All those guys should be under the microscope. Yes, all of these things. Yep, agree on CNK as well. Peace saying here from the get go, their line formation wasn't the same as the trials, and they looked tired from. Yeah, it was is obvious that they were tired. The energy. Do you think they practiced offloads this year? Because that killed us in the final against the Well, it was a great strategy from Ricky. Ricky got it bang on. He pretty much said, "Look, we think we're stronger than you. We think we're more powerful than you, and we're going to test your tackling technique. We're going to test your three-man tackles, see if you really are about that life." And you saw Horsburgh go into the tackle, find an offload. You saw Tapine, you saw Hosking, you saw everyone get in there and say, "You guys are too little. You guys are too small. We can offload at will." And they literally did. You had three guys there. You had Ford even watching the ball, and they just get the ball out. That's too passive. That's too letting the other team control. And that's where we're going to get to that part where I think he got it wrong with Ford. Yes, this is another area. Lack of time for Halasima, Valmonga. Dominic saying couldn't work out who was leading the team. How come both captains off at one time? Luke needs to step up, take control. He looks second fiddle to Dylan Walker. Yeah, there's just a lot of things revealing themselves now. And that's why it's so hard to get a gauge from trials. Trials show you everything good, right? Trials show you that when you're having a practice run or you're having inferior opposition, you can do a lot of things. And no fault of his own. I thought Tane Tuapiki got shut down. You just saw that defensive line from Canberra was super tight. So did Webby get it wrong? Obviously, he did. I had a good chat with Ash last night, and just a heads up, Ash won't be on tomorrow night's show. He's got some commitments, but you know he's watched it again, and we have similar thoughts, slightly differ, in some things, but overall we do see it as an opportunity to correct errors and mistakes. But specifically, we both agreed on that playing Jackson Ford was the wrong mistake. I have no idea personally why Webby went for that. He showed in the trials that he was going to play Aaron Clark in that 13 role. And he'd explain why this didn't work with Ford. You could see at times in attack, at least, that when they were setting up for shape, there was no lead kind of forward taking that role. You see sometimes on fourth tackle or certain places there wasn't no structure, so the attack looked discombobulated. There was no actual lock being a first receiver like Dylan Walker, whereas I think Aaron still kind of plays that first receiver. It doesn't mean he always passes and sets up attacking shape. It means he can get at first receiver and play a little out the back if he needed to, but that wasn't there from early on. The structure in terms of setting up our attack was just missing. And you saw it from the two knock-ons Canberra gave us. And that's, I always said in the stream, if you're going to play the offload game, you will give up errors. And Canberra gave us maybe 3 or 4 errors off the offloads, and they were prime. But you could just see there was no real intent, no real deep kind of attacking structure. And then the other side of that, I thought that it showed a lack of confidence in Clark, in my opinion, that he couldn't do the role a little bit. And for Ford, as the type of player he is, that I'm looking at it, and it didn't really match fighting it with Canberra at times. I can see it from a defensive. Ford is a workhorse. Sometimes you need to fight fire with fire, and I thought they had Papali, Tapine, and they threw it at us, and maybe just a little bit more attacking threat from the likes of a Clark can allow you to weather that storm a bit better in the first 20. But I think Webby did get that one wrong, personally. Let's just get to some comments quickly. It did. It screwed up the interchanges, and that's another on-flow effect of his decisions after that. Um, hey, good to see you, Jazz. Missed tackles, errors, letting in soft tries, interchange, bench used incorrectly, in my opinion. The most I was hoping for was us to have another try or two, or maybe two, to get closer, but that was near impossible. Honestly, Walks looked like our best halfback. We'll get to the halves. We will definitely get to the halves. Um, he did want to match that size of the Raiders pack, but it's weird. I think you have to also give a counter. Like, so if they're gonna match you with size, don't just have a working type forward in terms of forward. Trust in Aaron Clark that he can play that work rate role, and that he and then it gives you the balance of Clark on for walk off for Walker, and then you can get into your ball playing phase a bit. I just think he messed with it and it just didn't work. It didn't really flow. Um, kind of feel for Luke though. I didn't yesterday, but he got huge boots to fill. I personally think he's suited to a 5'8" role, being a running half, but time will tell. Let's be honest, we'd be Galaxy brained at the last minute. I just felt it. Just even when I saw it and Ash shared it with me, I thought, we know forward and we know the players is like stick with what you watch what we've been doing, and that was starting with Clark. Jazz saying Sticky just showed his boys the semi we had against the Broncos and told them be fierce. As soon as two or more come into the tackle, look for the offload. If it's on as they struggle, yep, agreed, Jazz. We just talked a little bit about that as well. Um, Jackson on way too long, yeah, and then the on-flow of that, as Tahi's mentioned, is that it it pushed everything. I felt like they delayed a lot. I can't remember the interchanges as such, but I know Walker came on and Aaron came on, and there was a good little patch there. Uh, but on the back end, it delayed having Vaimong on earlier, who I was crying for around the 50th minute, and Leka as well. I thought New Cordia was having a shocker. He wasn't really doing anything. Likewise, Kate Well, um, and it led to a lot of things that I don't think that he was prepared for. I don't think Webby was prepared for how truly and the tendency when you are getting dominated, and this has happened a lot with Webby, if we are getting dominated, he will leave his more experienced players on for longer. That's one of my concerns with what some of his solutions, that he thinks having those guys on for longer solves the solution. For me, it doesn't always. You have to bring on the young guys or bring energy onto the field to solve solutions at times. But there is that temptation, and that's when you can get into a bad pattern. And we've seen it as Warriors fans where, Kearney, all of the coaches, they get into these habits of playing certain players for too long instead of trusting some of the other guys that are in form or even younger. And I think that's what happened a little bit there. Murata did look tired after 20, and it was evident he wasn't getting up off the ground quickly. Peace. Thanks for speaking speaking the truth. Usually you'll defend Webby in the team picks. It's refreshing. The disappointment is real, but it's okay. On to the next. Yeah, and it's not. Look, we want Webby to succeed. I want the Warriors to succeed, and I've said that it's going to take a few years, and now we're into year 3. And I'm still backing Webby, but call him out for what he's doing wrong, and we want him to change and adapt. Look, the Vaimonga and Halasima were a little late. They were too late, and I know they're going to get their time, but these boys can play 30 minutes. They can play 40 minutes. Let them play. See what happens. Let them pick up the attack. Let them try. You know, Catewell and Newcourt weren't doing anything amazing. Like they didn't bring anything like yo keep them on. Vaimonga let Halasima let them have a crack, a proper crack. And I just think Webby pulled the pin a little too late. And it's part of that strategy again. Sometimes just does it a little bit too long. Jackson fought on for 50 minutes when it was clear that there was being nothing produced from it. So those are the things where I call out our coach with respect to him to want to improve it and make those adjustments. Just as much as we call out players and everyone has their players they call out, we can call out Webby as well, while still being backing him. And that's where I'm at with him. Every opportunity we handed with a drop ball or some sort of error, and it didn't help that we weren't converting. Yeah. Um, I reckon we should have put Bunty on the bench. I know he's been average over the years, but looked really good in the trials. And we needed that bigger body in the front line. Yeah, again, the use of Bunty, like I haven't been the biggest fan of Bunty. We know that. But yeah, there are options with him. He was quite effective in 2023. Um, he actually remember he had that starting role and he would work well. I think that's one of those things where you do kind of say, with Bunty, yeah, he's not going to go any further in his terms of his development. But if you need a guy to do a job, he is a good guy for 20, 30 minutes. We know what he's like. Doesn't give you massive yardage, but he gives you a solid game, and he's a bit more physical. I do agree with that, Tans. Yeah, good call there from Peace. I think Sam Healy will get his time, but um, definitely will come around. Um, yeah, Team Mackie, we agree on that for sure. That's yeah. I'll give him his try. I'll give him his try for sure. Yeah. Uh, that's great. Great point, Tay. It was an overseas game. Like we were in the big spotlight, right? We're in America. Our fans have traveled. It was evident that we had the most fans travel over from all reports, and we let them down. We didn't even put up a fight. We didn't even give them something to be proud of. And no doubt everyone had fun. Everyone enjoyed it. But, that performance didn't show the fans like, yes, we are a team in a rebuild, or we're a team that has young halves, or, we're lacking experience, but we're fighters. It didn't have that. So there are some of those little, I bring it back to attitude. I bring it back to attitude. Let's quickly look now at, I think we've talked about forward domination. Like they dominated us quickly on there. One of the particular things from Canberra I thought was really good was there when we were coming out of yardage, they absolutely destroyed Tuopiki and those runs. RTS, who was the other? Yeah, Pompey's, Leotoas. They shut us down, so they nullified the yardage carries, which did put a bit more pressure on the halves kicking wise. But like it wasn't so much that they stopped our meters; it was so much that they kind of stopped any momentum with those carries. So Tane found no joy, and I've been hyping up Tane and thinking he's a good player when he can find a crease. There was none. They compressed that middle one off the ruck and they just shut it down. And so I got to give credit to them. And that situation was particularly, that's where you're crying out for a DWZ for that straight hard carry. You know how physical he can be. But the game plan from Ricky was spot on, and that's a good coach. But he also working with his personnel. Want to go back to one thing that Ricky did really well game plan wise: drop guys underneath, bring them back, cut them back on deep angles, because you're forcing those guys that have defended or at marker, when they're retreating, now they have to defend again. So you keep breaking down the middle like Penrith, and I think this is maybe something that Ricky's looked at and thought. I mean, I don't know. I don't know Ricky's system, but they've probably already been doing this. But it's going to be something where I think we need to develop. But he saw his game plan as like, at times, show shape, but bring the back rower back inside. So you play a little shape with the lead runner, and then but you use that shape to hold that outside defense, and then you drop the guy underneath like a Hoskins back in the middle. And what you get is these quick play the balls, you get offloads. We clicked onto it in the second half with Roger to Shik. We got that going, and Roger's good at that. That's why I think we should go back to that a little bit more. Drop Roger underneath on a lateral run, let him go and find little creases. I think that would be effective. So, but Ricky nailed it, and Fogarty's kicking game was awesome. Strange's kicking game was mean too. Savage picked his moments, called the intercept well. Tamale is a good little player. He more than matched it. Um, what's his name? Timoko was good. The Kiwis center, and they just got a good solid squad, I think. And look, I gotta give Ricky credit where it is due. Um, they were fast, bro, holding us down, getting the slow to play the ball. It was crazy. Yep, that the line speed, particularly from Starling. If you go back and watch the tape, watch Starling on the first and second tackles. He just flies out of the line, picks out to a picky or C and K, and just shuts it down. And that kind of builds that kind of momentum. So yeah, Ricky did his homework. His staff did their homework, nailed it, in my opinion. Ricky confirmed in the press that they were absolutely there to make a statement, especially with media always writing them off. Mission accomplished. Yeah, absolutely, Jess. Nailed it. Yeah, Tamale shut down RTS, a rookie winger who made his debut. That's again those types of things. You know, shows your youth can do it. You can trust in youth. Um, as that's a fair call too. Look, and you got to take into account we do have like a semi buy when we get home here. I asked the staff, coaching staff, and the team to look closely at what's going wrong and work on that plan too. Um, yeah, Canberra's back five. They did look good. You can't take that away from them. Um, yep, and look, we shouldn't hold back the young guys if the older guys aren't performing. Um, okay, excuse me if I haven't I've missed a few comments there, but KO Weeks was pretty quiet. Yeah, I thought he was, but he didn't have to do too much. Played within himself a little quite well. Burst of pace at times, but their back five overall just outdid us, outmuscled us really, and outplayed us. Um, yep, fair enough. Peace. Okay, this is the next topic, guys. Where were the halves? You can't hold it back from the boys. I know they are a new pairing. Um, and look, I said once Webby selects those halves and he selected CHT and Metcalf, I will back them. I'll back them at least till the halfway point. I've always believed that halves should be given ample time and opportunity to develop and to build a combination. Now, let's to analyze this game though. These boys did not live up to it. Um, there's just you can see the lack of communication. You can see the lack of direction or knowing what to do. Metcalf at times you could just tell went quiet. The comms were not quite there. You could see Egan holding the ball, and then he passes to Metcalf, who sets up for a 40-20, but it was delayed. Egan wasn't sure what was happening. The attacking plays, they kind of went through the motions with Metcalf, throwing the intercept, forcing things. I know they both played kind of too. They just went through the plays without really isolating and thinking, what should I do? And what's the point of these plays? For example, when you got back rowers and you don't use them, that tells the defense just keep sliding out. They're going to keep going out the back. What you need to do is use the back rowers, hit the short balls to, to, to suck in those centers or those defenders, halfbacks, whoever, to get that commitment, get that bite going. You want to get them familiar thinking, we're going to go short, we're going to go short, we're going to go short, and then bang, you hit the outside. Those are the things where you have a likes of a Sean Johnson who can set that up throughout a game. He'll go short. He'll know when to go short. He'll know when to go out the back. He'll pick his moments at the right time. And likewise, all the other halves, Cleary, all the good ones, can read the game and identify that. I think specifically Metcalf, and CHT had trouble identifying that, or were going through the motions on attack. Kicking game was good. I mean, they got the yardage, but the setup, fourth tackles were really poor in general. There was no real clear path of what they wanted to do on the fourth. That could be a whole team issue, but also just structurally from the halves, knowing how to set up. They had two great sets at the start of the first half, and then it eventuated to nothing. They slowly got better in the second half. I thought CHT started to click on. Saw Savage coming into the line, kicking behind for Roger. Should have been a try. So there were some improvements, but there were just too many sets where they just didn't organize themselves. And it's so important. That's why I'm thinking Walker, specifically for these two, is so important to help them to get into their shape, get them where they need to. Walker is going to direct and help Metcalf. But the reality is they need to take a bit more ownership. Will I stick to my 12 weeks? I will. Let's back these two. Let them develop. Now, we can't just switch them on. They are young. Metcalf is young, but we can't switch it on him straight away. If he's going to be, if the club is invested in him, they're giving him 3 years. Test your investment. Is he a half? He says he's a half. He wants, in the podcast, I got big shoes to fill. I want to be a halfback. Let him do so. See what he's got. Give him 12 weeks. If it doesn't work, if it doesn't develop, then look for others. CHT, a little bit of the same, although he hasn't showing signs of improvement. And he's just going through the motions a little bit as well. So very lackluster from the two of them. Very lackluster from the two of them. Good call, T-Mackie, yet. Thank you, Tay. Really appreciate it. Hit that like. People, 65 of you in here. It's great to have you in here. Even the non-members, hit that like, people. Look, and I always said about Webby, when you get your halves pairing, stick with them. I like Tamaire personally. I think he's overlooked in many cases by the fan base and by the club, obviously. But there's nothing worse than chopping and changing your halves all the time. If they truly believe in Metcalf, and I will back the coach's decision, then stick with them. Let them develop. Let them figure it out. Let them try and get something going. That's my view anyway. I don't care about his king and team him at 7th lead. Gives the team proper direction. Puts Metcalf at 6 and let him focus on running and kicking. Yeah, it could be. I mean, and that's always the thing, is that you get this fear of, your 7 has to be a kicker, and you get hung up on kicking a lot. And I'm going to go into the system soon. But what Tamwadi gives you is he breaks away from the system. And I might go to the system right now once I finish these comments. Very good call, Lex. Yeah, it could be. Again, the experience, you don't realize it. And I know people say, oh, well, Luke Metcalf's 25. He's still a rookie half. He's a rookie halfback. He's had 2 seasons, maybe of 20 games max as a 5'8", with Sean Johnson calling the whole game. But it isn't until you get in the halves position, in the halfback, and you got to call a whole game, when you're going to make decisions for every tackle, and the responsibility of that decision and its outcome is on you. There's not many that can hold that weight of pressure on them. And Metcalf's going to have to take that mantle and realize that, mate, I've got to be on to it every set. Like I said, hit the back rowers. You got to set up. You got to cue the defense. You're conditioning. You're not getting tries. You're not going for tries every set. You're conditioning the opposition for what you want to do later on. That's part of the whole game. That's what it's all about, is conditioning the defense and keeping them on their toes, and then you're going to pull the trigger then. Those are the things Metcalf doesn't have right now. He's got his running. He can see it for himself. He sees the game for himself many times as a runner, but he needs to start seeing the game for the outsides. And I think Tamai, what he showed you is that he could get everyone going. He could get Leatoa tries. He could get everyone across the park going. He had that vision, has that more experience than Metcalf. But I'm not saying to go straight and get rid of Metcalf. Again, this will be a flaw of the club. You have to trust in your halves. And I'm sticking by Metcalf and CHT up until to around 12. And if the season's over then you know, I've judged poorly, but that will be on the coach for choosing not getting the right balance. Again, I've always said I don't care. Like all four of those halves, Boyd, Metcalf, Tamari, they all have a flaw in their game, but it's about finding the right balance. Can they get the balance right? Do you honestly believe Metcalf and CHT will be the right balance? That's the big question. So, yeah, um, it's not there right now, but it can be developed. Dominic, great point. The likes of man, Jazz saying the likes of lacking badly. 67 of you. I need 67 likes. I need 1-for-1 likes. You know, I need 67 likes right now. So hit that like. um, yep, he has a lot of experience. Quite possibly, maybe he's carrying. He could be. I mean, I'm not sure. I did hear the injury report. Um, Shows how many times last year they just let AFB and SJ try and solve their lacking in other areas. I think so. I think there was an issue. I think there's been this underlying issue. I'm going to quickly get into this topic, but it might point to a lot of those things. The thing for me is that CHT has had plenty of first experience now and has never really shined and has more of a 14. Yeah, it is. But again, I do think there's value there. But when it comes to the nitty gritty, like I said, they got good chances on the goal line. The kick for Roger was right. We need more of that. I think there wasn't enough of a short kicking game. Getting repeat sets or just getting variety. I think they really lack that. Tony's saying he's not really, in my opinion, when your most experienced half is left, he's got no one to lean on. Very cool. Next match is a home game piece. We are at Mount Smart against the Seagulls, I think, in 2 weeks' time, next Friday, which is great. I hate these buys. I hate any week off. Yeah, it's conditioning. It is conditioning. Like CHT, but he's Brown, Phoenix Crossland, all heart effort, but not the guy to direct the team. So does Webby make a couple changes now? Because I'm afraid he might make till round 6 to make a call. Look, again, I just think you got to back them. You can't go. It would show so much. This would reflect badly on Webby if that he sees this halves pairing and realizes he got the balance wrong and changes it again. That tells you a coach doesn't really believe or know what he's doing. Again, I go back to what happened with Sean last year when Tamale was on that hot run. They brought Sean back in, and what they did was played Sean as a 6 and Tamale as a 7, and it didn't work. It's not you know I don't think you blame Tamale or Sean in the situation, but you got to have your coach say, "No, I want to stick for balance sake. I want to stick with Tamale and CHT." That worked well for me. I know Sean's our veteran and the star of the club, but I need to let him sit down and let these two play while the iron is hot. That's what it should have happened. So I don't think Webby should be chopping and changing again. He said it in his podcast. If he changes this up and goes from CHT to Metcalf, was it Metcalf and Tamaiti? He's gone back on what he said. He said in his podcast preseason, we're going to pick him early. The team's going to know who they are, and we're going to back him. And the other two are going to fight for their spots. So it reflects badly on Webby if he goes that way. Thank you, guys. Yeah, hit those likes. Hit those likes. Is the system too rigid? This is what I wanted to get to. Is the system too rigid? Is it too predictable? Does it have its flaws? In many ways, it does. In many ways, it requires deep execution and needs people that can operate within it and execute it to a high level. But it also it just needs us to. We need something more out of it. Um, Look, I give Webby a lot of credit in 2023 and even 2024. That team, and specifically, it must have been Sean or AFB that were the drivers, Tohu with Egan, that connection that they had built over the years. It really could see how detailed the offense was when they were operating. I remember even 2023 majority that they were creating little trick plays, different variations, one off the ruck. You saw AFB go over the line so easy. You saw all sorts of creativity within the system. And you just aren't seeing that right now, especially with these halves, without really a ball playing lock outside of Walker. You're seeing a team that's, I just feel as though it's stagnated a little bit in terms of really putting pressure on. And I'm not going to rush to that conclusion. I'm going to give them time. Um, but you do ask yourself, is the system too rigid? It possibly is. I think what needs to happen though, it needs to develop. It needs to evolve. You saw again what Penrith are doing now. They've kind of changed their system, and the Raiders too, where they're dropping guys underneath. They're putting the pressure back through the middle. It's not always one direction. For example, if you look at a lot of our plays, when we go um, left or right, there's no cutback angle against the grain a lot of the time. It's all leading to one side. So if it's going left, it's going all the way from right to left. If it's going from left to right, it's going from left all the way to right. There's nothing deception underneath. There's no once the checks are done, it's slide, slide, slide for the defense. And the defense also know to jam the half when they see the half and the out the back. It's very clear the center will come in and jam that half on specific shapes. So there's just elements to it that needs variety. I'll go back to the halves. I think again they went through the flow of what the system entails. These are the options. These are the markers. This is what we're going to do. Bang, bang, bang. You need to still think on your head. You still need to think, look, I'm going to put a grubber in here. I want you to go to the line. Instead of going out the back, I'm going to kick through for you, Capewell. I'm going to put a grubber in there. So just there's going to, you need to go at the line with variety. Look at what Penrith Panthers did. Nathan Cleary at the line, chip over the top. You're still doing your shape. It still looks like you're going out the back, but you're changing it up so much that you're chipping over, you're causing so much, questioning of the defense. They don't know quite sure what you are going to do. That's what you need. You need to be able to, within the system and structure, find variations, find little tricks, find little ways of manipulating it so that, yes, it may look like we're doing the same thing, but you guys didn't quite predict this. That's the thing that we need to have. That's what we need from the whole team to be not so predictable in those elements. That's my view, at least. And yeah, we need to evolve. We need to get a bit more. Yeah. Welcome in, NZ Warriors men. Thank you very much for joining, man. It's great to have you on here, bro, and Wills as well. Levon needs our moral support after years. I do. I need as much support as I can. Condolences to Vandy travel to Vegas. One like will sort of loft them up. That's levels. I appreciate that though. The system is similar to Cleary years. The difference is Cleary's system was the players were allowed to ad lib when the moment called for it. There just needs to be a little bit more ad lib, and I know those guys have it in them. I know CHT, particularly Metcalf, he's got that in him. You just didn't see him take any risks yesterday. That's probably one of my, if I really look at it closely, I didn't see him really take anything on. He didn't really want to. Yeah, I think that's kind of where I see it now that our boys didn't really show that they were going to take some chances. And I know it was difficult. They didn't have, and I agree with a lot of people, they didn't have front football. They didn't have everything go their way. That is so true. I think they actually didn't have a lot going their way. But it's, yeah, I just, and that's where sometimes Um, you either have a half like a Sean that can really knows how to, he's really good at this stuff. He knows how to call a game. He knows how to. Or you do have a Mighty who is a bit of a goes rogue a little bit against the system. He goes against the grain. He won't do what is expected of him, and that variation, keeps teams on their toes. How many offloads did the boys do on the weekend? Yeah, great point. We going back to the system, we are, and I do love it. I do think we are quite structured. We are quite, what's the word? We're playing consistency. We're playing for yardage, but sometimes you have to break away from patterns because you can't just keep kicking the ball. Like you can't keep getting to the 50 kicking the ball and then giving it to a team like Penrith, Canberra, who are clearly more physical, at least in this game, and more dominant than you, and will go back to offloading on you, and you'll be doing 2 times the work again. So you need to break that cycle sometimes. That's what I'm trying to say. Is that yes, an offloading game would be a bit nicer. I mean, AFB always presented the offload in many ways, but you just need to see a bit more intent around the ruck. Even support play for Egan was off; it was non-existent. Um, yes, and we were an easy team to slide on. Yep, agreed. Um, Dom saying that you are right about 2024 deja vu, like watching training rounds. I think the players aren't all on the same page. Let the young guys add variety. We look the same team every week. Teams are evolving. They are. They really are. Isaac Footy, yeah, it wasn't there yesterday. The boys went through the motions, all of them, in my opinion. Um, okay, let's transfer. I want to just explain this and my view of what we need. And probably us as a club, many of us as fans who are long term fans have come through the club and we have seen the Daniel Anderson era, which was, I think, one of the areas in which we really showed us flair, but also a very, you know, our mentality, the physicality, and the structure we played within that system created some of the best football I've seen in my life from the Warriors. And, you know, but that team had so much raw talent. It had so much ability on the park. It was amazing to watch, and it's something I always fondly remember that era. And I'm not saying that we should go back to that era. In fact, football's changed so much from that era that the risk reward appetite in football has gone definitely towards conservatism. Um, we know that without the back plays, with the lack of offloads at times, teams like Ricky, they will take those risks. And if you know Ricky's teams over the years, they love a bit of risk reward. They love a bit of offload. They love, and they can be a team that can thrash you like 30 to 8. They've got that in them. And then sometimes it kills them as well, Ricky, because he's playing the offload too much and the errors are coming. Then you get a team that can really punish those errors in that part of the field. So there's that catch 22 with football, always has existed in rugby league. Do you play the offload? Do you play expansive? Do you play a bit more out of the system? Or do you play consistent and build your pressure? History probably says conservative play with controlled possession has been more successful over the years. But I would argue that yes, controlled position, but still having X factor players or Hall of Fame players like a Nathan Cleary you still need those players to take you over the line. And so I think what we're trying to build here at the Warriors is a system that is conservative in nature. Yes, it is, but it's also taking out the risk appetite and trying to be dominant. Now, the argument I have with that is that if you don't have the personnel to always do that, then you're just a Panthers from Timu. Let's just call it what it is. So I like the idea of it, but you do need to be able to. If you got that system, you need players to play the system, and I think we do have them. But you can see sometimes that these patterns have happened for a long period. And the question you ask is, what is a worker type player, and what is the X factor type player? And this is the balance that I think Webby needs to get right. because you have your workers, right? A worker is for me someone that will have a high tackle number. Their actual work rate is such, the work they're getting through is quite high, but the actual output on attack isn't reflective on the score sheet or on the team. And I'll explain this quickly. So, for example, Jackson Ford, he's a worker type. He can play for long minutes, he can tackle for long minutes, but he doesn't necessarily bring you the output you need attack. And the argument that is from the X Factor player, the X Factor player may not be able to play for longer minutes. He might not be um, have the tackling numbers, but he'll get you repeat sets, or he'll get you try scoring opportunities, or he'll get you points that then leads to you not having to tackle as much. So, for example, you know, you might have a, let's say, a Halasima, a young talent who's bursting at the seams, can get you a try. Um, or you choose a Jackson Ford who can defend his life for his life and make, and tackle harder and keep two repeat sets out. He can defend on his line for 2 to 3 sets more than what Halasima can. What is the actual better way to play football? The better way, in my opinion, is to be able to put scoreboard pressure on other teams so that you don't have to tackle as much. And I respect people that are tacklers. We've needed Michael Lux. We needed cleanup guys. Tohu Harris was the cleanup guy. But you do need people to put points on the board so that those guys don't have to tackle as much. Like, you can have a guy with 50 to 60 tackles. For me, that's not a badge of honor. That's something's going wrong with your attack. There's something's going wrong with the balance of your team that you're having to tackle for 60 tackles. It's not reflective of what I think good football is. You have to have a balance. You have to have a balance. Not saying you can't get away with a workhorse and a forward. Not saying you shouldn't have a Capewell. Not saying you shouldn't have these types of players. But you need some more players that are more potent in attack. You need some players that are going to give you something, so that you score a try and then they kick off and then you get a penalty from the kickoff and they're on defense again. So you need players that can get you off defending your line so much, or defending as much, and create more attacking opportunities. That's just my theory. It's something I think about at times, that Webby still trying to get those workers to play over the X factors, which is, for example, the X factor might be a Vaimaonga or a Halasima, or now I can't really say that. I think Leatoa is a X factor and he's playing him, so they're kind of contradicting that. I don't think, but at the same time, Leatoa needs to be used more effectively. But it's just something that, again, I think at times Webby's caught himself in this pattern of like relying on experienced players like Capewell, when in reality they haven't been performing, to the full level, when we could really get, more out of a Halasima or a younger guy. Um, that's just my thought process behind it. We need more broken play tries. We need more variety. It's just, we need something to break the mold a little bit. And if it's Halasima or Vaimaonga or Leatoa or whatever it is, then that's what we need to kind of flip the switch a bit. I think RTS, just quickly on RTS, I thought he played a good game. I thought Roger was solid. If he'd only gotten that try, I thought that would have helped. But I think he's going to be fine there on the wing. I think he's going to be one of the better wingers for sure. So that's my my little spiel, guys. The players, yeah, I don't want to go into too depth. I've talked about a lot, but let me just get some questions. That's where I thought they were headed with Dimitri. Give him an offload license. I hope so. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't really been looking, but that's definitely a good call, Tay. Is he stubborn? I'm not sure if I don't want to call Webby stubborn, but I just think he needs to start to let those players kind of, let the guys unleash a little bit. Yeah, I know. I've always said that we lack speed, but we lack speed in 23, but we're so successful. And I think it came down to the boys knowing and doing their jobs. That's a good argument too. And look, I could be wrong here in saying that these boys they're just not playing the system perfect. And Webby's always been do play, do plan A, and if plan A doesn't work, do plan A better. That whatever that phrase is. So I, that's part of the problem. Do we have? It's a good argument. We probably do, but are they being allowed to be a bit more expressive on the field? Teammaker saying, "Go conservative play going up the field, but once in the red zone, you allow the risk to enter your game. We aren't taking risks in the red zone." Yeah, that's a good call actually, teammaker. 4 more likes, people. Let's hit that 50. Got 68 of you guys in here. Let's please hit the 50 mark. I'm gonna go for about another 5-10 minutes, guys. But appreciate everyone in here and hanging out with our members. It's really cool. Welcoming our new members as well. NZ Warriors Man and Wills T. T Willis. Great to have you, my man, as always. Wills T. Wills T. Yes. Raiders had 17 offloads. Yeah. Tom Ali was offloading against the Dolphins last year. I think a lot of younger forwards have the risk factor in the game, but Webby is containing it. Could be. I feel ABP had left it as he felt no chance of championship, and with the team and coach at the moment, maybe. Yes, maybe. It's a hard one. Yeah, I think he did it for personal reasons. Again, would have loved for him to stay. But yeah. Where to next? Look, I know I've been quite down in my personal opinions. I've talked about that, but there's only one way, and it's only up. That you can only improve on that. And again, like I said, back to halves. Let them figure it out. Let them really get in tune with Egan, Walker. Let everyone get involved. The forwards need to be better. Webby needs to be better. I think he cannot. If he goes with Ford again as a starter, I'll be disappointed. I don't think that's the right call. I don't agree with Webby. So there are things he needs to change. There are younger guys that need a bit more opportunity. Ash has called for it. He said he believes Halasima will get a starting spot over New Korte within the first 12 weeks. If New Korte has another couple bad games, then maybe we may make that call. There are, you can adjust it. You can put some more faith in the youth. Go back to Clark. Let Clark start with JFH and Barnett. Get back to some of the decisions you made that were good. If there needs to be a discussion around C&K at fullback, make the call. Like, do not stop the progress of your team because you have, you like C&K or whatever the reason you think C&K is better. Is he truly better? Can you say that a Tane Tuopiki might be better right now in his current progression as a player? If so, play the best player. Don't play favorites as such. Play who you think is playing better. I'm always about it. I like, even me. I loved yesterday. Loved what he produced, but he wasn't producing last year. Should have just been Tamaite or whoever else. I don't care that Sean had to retire and you had to play him out. I felt like they played Sean out for the rest of the season. It's about winning games and building, working with the best players. Let them play. So those are some of the things that I think Webby needs to get a real hold on in terms of what he's doing. 56 likes. Thank you very much. We need an intimidating pack. Maybe a trinity of a trinity of halfbacks. Yeah. Maybe it could be. Maybe they do go to TMM at fullback. I know people shut me down on that idea, but man, if it doesn't work with C&K and we see a performance again like that, you might have to say, hey, look, they went to, even in the Kiwis, they went with Kenny at the fullback. When C&K had that massive 2023 season, best player of the tournament, was he, or the game, the final? Kiwis have moved. They see Kenny as a maybe the harp one needs to come in. The harpsichord might need to come in. Yep, and I've always been big on picked on form. Yvonne, do you play golf? No, I just got this hat. It's yeah, it's I got it from the op shop, but I like it. Like a bit of Peaky Blinders there. You look like you need a good. I do. Sorry, peace. I know I've been a bit on the negative side. On the upside, your viewers are showing you love. I thank you. We appreciate you. Ash got the short end yesterday. Yeah, yeah, I know he did. And Ash, we all know Ash. Ash is always looking for the positives more so than me. My tendency is to look for negatives. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, my brother Ash, he can he sees things that I sometimes don't see. I rush to judgment at times, but he wishes he could be here. But he shared some thoughts with our group chat. I'm not sure what membership you guys are. Wills T and Warriors Men. But if you do want to join our WhatsApp, if you're in the first grader level, you're welcome to join. But Ash has shared his thoughts amongst us um, there. So, yeah, I have no problem with Webby makes changes and say it got it wrong from round one. Yeah, whether the players like that is nothing. Yeah. Okay. This is the last topic, guys, for the night. Agar with the chokes. Just quickly, this is it just compounds upon how bad things have gone. But Agar, apparently, Agar and a UK journalist in the Legion Stand press box have come. Shocking incident between the Warriors assistant coach has come to light. According to Coach Sport, Agar have claimed to have grabbed the reporter by the throat before verbally abusing him during halftime of the Warriors and Raiders clash. Um, yeah, so apparently these two had beef. Um, uh, Agar is one of the assistant coaches, so I think they were going down the escalator or the elevator, and Agar saw one of the journalists from the UK that wrote a piece about him saying that he should be sacked, and obviously that must have triggered Agar. He saw the face, he saw the guy. It's like a movie when you see a guy having a drink and laughing, and this guy was part of your demise or part of the reason you maybe lost your job. And he just thought, no, screw what's happening at halftime talk. I'm going to go have my own little halftime with this guy. um, he stopped Hager before the tombstone. And I agree, Agar showing some genuine passion. That's great to see. I wish maybe show that tape of Agar choking out the journalist, play it for halftime next week if things aren't going to plan, and say, hey guys, this is what we need from you. We need you to choke the seagulls out. Um, he did. He probably did. He probably did. But yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen with Agar. Maybe this is a symptom of other things. Maybe things aren't as rosy as social media presents itself from a Warriors perspective, and maybe there are internal issues. But it seems so random for him just to get triggered by a journalist, and you still have to be professional in these settings. I wonder if Agar will get a 4-match ban. He might get banned from the premises. But yeah, get Agar on some wrestling down there. Get him in the choke, put him in the old the guillotine and a bit of a sleeper. Maybe then you get rid of Kai Kara France, get Agar on the he might need Wiggy to give him. You might have to do this to Webby, actually wake him up a little bit. But yeah, good times at the Warriors. Never a dull moment. It's already begun. But Agar with the choke slam. Okay, quickly, guys. That is our members show for tonight. Great to hang out with our members. Thank you very much. As I said, Ash won't be on tomorrow night's show, but we will definitely have a replacement, or we'll find one. But yeah, join us again tomorrow night for All You Can Eat. It'll be more of a breakdown. Unfortunately, we don't get our Teamless Tuesday to get our fix back. We love our Teamless Tuesdays where they just come in and you reset. You forget about the weekend and what happened, and you're like, okay, let's go to the next game. And that's the great thing about the NRL. But unfortunately, we have to dwell on this game a little longer. But definitely come in for that, and we're going to talk more, break it down with you all. So thank you, everyone, for the members show. Before you leave, please hit that like and subscribe. Thank you again to all of our members and Warriors men. And Will's looking forward to spending some more time with you both as well. And thanks for joining our membership program. But apart from that, guys, stay safe. Keep your spirits up. and enjoy the rest of your week until tomorrow night. Peace.